Hey everyone, welcome back to PokeMarketLab. Today we're talking Evolving Skies, a bit of a market update. This is the king of the last 5 years of sets. It is the creme de la creme. It is the piece de resistance. It is Evolving Skies. It's doing phenomenally. It's been through bear markets and bull markets alike. It's still holding strong. It's still the set to beat. We have some really solid sets in Scarlet and Violet. Maybe a set here or there that could give it a run for its money, but as of right now, Evolving Skies is the king. So with that, let's get into it. Let's take a look at booster boxes, our favorite product. The product to look at here, market price for Evolving Skies booster box is sitting right at $970. It's been pushing up against that $1,000 price point, but just can't seem to break through it. And it really comes down to the price of the box. It's a very expensive thing to buy into right now. That's you could get a lot of other product. You can get a booster box of pre-ordered booster box of almost any set compared to this. And so as an investor, specifically thinking as an investor trying to buy booster boxes at $1,000 a pop, it's hard to think about, it comes down to upside potential. Does Evolving Skies have more upside potential at $1,000 a box versus a booster box of any other set? That's something you really have to ask. That's a personal question from a collector standpoint. I mean, what's not to like about Evolving Skies, right? Everyone wants to own a piece of what is already a historic set. And just look at the age component here. We're working on 4 years from it. The reprint risk is pretty much, I don't want to say gone. We're still seeing it like trickle in through like tins and things like that, but it's pretty scant. It's not enough to change anything in the market. We do see quite a few boxes listed on TCG Player here. 140 boxes currently available. Market doesn't really care. It doesn't see that as oversupply. It's had such a run from lows. Again, this wasn't always a revered product. There are people out there who have cases of this sealed at $100 base cost basis. So, but there's such confidence in this product that there's no fight to the bottom to try to offload boxes. They do move. I mean, average daily sold in the last 3 months of 2 per day with some pretty serious spikes in there. It's just not like anything that's $1,000, each. The liquidity. There's certain your buyer pool is going to be smaller for $1,000 box than it is maybe of like some sleeved packs or ETBs, which we'll look at here in a second. But you can't deny. I mean, just in the last 3 months alone, 38% return on this product. It's absolutely going to go higher from its $1,000 price point. I think once people have these certain numbers in mind. I think 1,000's one of them, right? Where it's just at some point when we get past that $1,000 price point, we get well past it. It's going to run up fairly quickly at that point. It's just I think people are going to have a hard time adding that extra digit in their head before they make that purchase, and it is a big purchase. This is a large purchase, even for most collectors here. But can't deny how well the booster box is doing, and I don't suspect it'll slow down, I think, but for the time being, I think it's just very steady as she goes. Moving on to some other Evolving Skies products here, we have the Pokemon Center ETB, the regular ETB, and the sleeved booster pack here. Pokemon Center ETBs, remember in the Sword and Shield era, there's really nothing special about those Pokemon Center ETBs. It was an extra pack that was really it. These are getting old enough that it's starting to become its own collectible. These are sitting at about a $270 market price here. They don't move phenomenally well, but there's also not many of them out in the market. So if you're holding on to these, I would suggest holding unless you need the cash. They should do well, but they're not going to do, if you see here on the 3-month price on the Pokemon Center ETB on the left, they hasn't done nearly as well as the booster box has in the last 3 months, but it is a cheaper price point if you want to get some exposure. So regular ETB, not doing much worse than a Pokemon Center ETB, so that kind of goes to tell you what Pokemon Center ETBs do in the Scarlet and the Sword and Shield era. So $222 price point for the regular ETB. These sell much better, much more frequently, but there's obviously a lot more available too. But we're getting to the point, something I mentioned on the booster box. We're getting to the point where the box is becoming its own collectible. It's getting old enough. We're approaching that 4-year time frame here. And the box, and especially with this kind of product, it is going to become its own collectible at some point here. Sleeve booster packs on the right hand side. Sleeve booster packs. It's a single booster pack. Are going for $24 each. I remember a couple of years ago picking these up at my local grocery store in Mass for like $4 a pop. buying tons, as many as I could, as many as I could afford. I turned and burned some of them quickly, and I got a closet full of them as well. Do not discount if you're going to pick up individual packs of some. Maybe you don't have the money to buy a sealed product. You want some exposure to a set. Maybe you want to get some exposure to an older set. You don't want to dump $200,000-$300,000 a box on something. This is a great way to get into it. And the market has definitely come to the conclusion that sealed booster packs in the sleeves are the way to go. There's always a risk that if you're buying loose booster packs, they could have come from tins, which is fine. You don't know the provenance of where those products came from, right? You could, if you open a booster box and you pull a Moonbryon, right? What are your chances of pulling Moonbryon in the rest of that box? It's as close to zero as almost anything, right? So you're better off taking those booster packs and selling them off individually. Your chances of getting hits out of them are going to be much, much, much less if you pull an SIR, right? So it's known that some of these bigger churn and burn places, they'll get those big hits and they'll dump the rest of the booster packs on the market of singles. My point is, you don't know what your chances are. You never know what your chances are going to be. If you're buying them from loose packs that potentially could have been from a booster box, your chances are even less. The sleeved booster packs kind of eliminate that potentially. So the market has definitely placed a little bit of a premium on these. So again, if you're looking to get old products, you're looking to get current product, and you got a good source of some cheap sleeved booster packs, you want a little bit exposure, maybe just kind of dollar cost average as time goes on, sleeved is the way to go for sure, all day. But all these products are doing fantastically well. Pokemon Center ETB 3-month return 16%, regular ETB is 30%, and the Evolving Skies sleeved booster pack is about a 20% in the last 3 months. So all doing phenomenally well. Let's take a look at total value of cards and set. Evolving Skies, just a couple other comparisons here, comps. Evolving Skies blows anything else in Sword and Shield out of the water at a $3,900 value. There's nothing even close. And it's not just one card. So we obviously have the Moonbryon, but if we look deeper in the value distribution, which we'll look at in a second, there's a lot of other stuff going on here. Yeah, Moonbryon VMAX at the top. Known colloquially as the Moonbryon, Rayquaza at $500. There's definitely value here outside of just the Umbreon. The problem is that the booster box price as it sits right now really only supports it's really Moonbryon or bust to get your money back if you're paying $1,000 to open a booster box, which is a very expensive proposition. So, and your chances of pulling, it's called Evolving Cries for a reason. Your chances of pulling that Moonbryon are pretty slim out of a booster box. So there's definitely, the booster box is a above representation of what you could possibly pull out of it for sure. But lots of value here, and we can kind of see that as we start looking at the distribution of value in the set. We obviously have that Umbreon in the top spot. Rayquaza there. There's definitely other value. It's just, again, it's your chances of getting two of these in a booster box are pretty slim. So it really comes down to that Umbreon. So the booster box right now is a great representation of the cards that are in it. It's not underpriced is what I'm trying to get at. So but the distribution here is really solid. There's lots of cards in the 3-digit range. It doesn't drop off too quickly here. Obviously the Umbreon's the outlier here, but there's a beautiful curve after that with the Rayquaza and Leafeon and Glaceon. And so there's plenty of other value here, just not enough to make up a booster box. So if you had, if you're pulling packs from tins or things like that you're able to get that were cheap per pack price, those are the kind of things that your upside potential is way up there versus, but trying to buy a booster box right now in the hopes of pulling an Umbreon, that's literally just gambling at this point. And that's, you do you. I mean, there's worse things you could spend $1,000 on, I guess. So, and taking a look at those top cards in set, Umbreon's is in a whole league of its own. There's nothing even close in Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet. It's 40% return on near mint sales in the last 3 months. It's still going up. It's dwindling in supply here on TCG players. So this could contribute to pulling that box price up even further. It's just your pool of people collectors will spend crazy money on things, but this is far and away is even, again, there's certain, even myself, I'm not spending $1,500 on a card here, and it's just getting it's, again, your pool of people is kind of shrinking at this point. So Rayquaza in second place there, holding beautifully at a $500 price point. Nice 30% return in the last month. Leafeon, nice 20% return in the last month, sitting at a $300 price point. So again, lots of other cards here. The artwork is, I think it's in a different tier than the rest of Sword and Shield. The Moonbryon is a nice card. It's not, again, I wouldn't go out and pay $1,000 for it right now. I think there's a couple other cards that are my preferred favorites from this set. One of them being the Glaceon and the Sylveon. Yeah, the Glaceon and Sylveon are my favorites from this set, and these are doing extremely well as well. Glaceon at a $260 price point, 13% return in the last few months, and the Sylveon at a $250 price point with a 30% return in the last few months. The regular Umbreon V here actually doing extremely well with a 40% return in the last 3 months, and a $200 price point. Again, I like the Glaceon and the Sylveon. I think these are in a nice tier upon of themselves within Sword and Shield, doing very, very, very well. All the singles are going up. A lot of money going back. You can see some flatness here in some of these, and then you can see some of that spike here. You can see on Sylveon's from, I believe, Black Friday. Which definitely catapulted some money back into the Sword and Shield market for sure. So to recap things here, an absolutely bonkers of a product, and it's still increasing in price. Again, I think as we get into higher price points here, it's going to keep pulling product to market. It's hard from a liquidity standpoint. This is an older product. There's not as many of them out there. Your buyer pool is a lot smaller. So it's certainly hard from a liquidity standpoint. So just remember, if you plan to liquidate any position of booster boxes and Evolving Skies in the future, it's going to take some time. I mean, you could fire sell it, right? You could say, put it up for $850 a pop, it'll probably sell instantly. But if you want to get that market price, it might take some time. It's not like a regular booster box. It's coveted, but it's $1,000, and again, my money is not going towards Evolving Skies. I have some smaller product of Evolving Skies like ETBs and like I said, the sleeve booster packs. That was kind of my entry point because of the high price of the booster boxes. But it's $1,000 a pop. So if you bought Evolving Skies back in the day at MSRP or anything like that, kudos to you. You got some gains that are, as Rudy calls, it's kind of a black swan event. There's very, very, very few sets that ever do this kind of performance. So it's just and it's no signs of slowing down. I don't expect this to tank or anything like that. Again, outside of exogenous events, I foresee this continuing to roll up to at least $1,000 price point 2025. There's no reason to suspect it won't hit that $1,000 price target. And that could do one of two things. This is kind of a psychology thing at this point. Does the $1,000 thing mean, it just kind of solidifies in people's mind that it's maybe too expensive? Or at some point when we sit at that $1,000 price point for enough time, that becomes normalized, and then it just kind of continues to shoot up. The only thing holding it back is just it is really one card or bust to get that value back. But the booster box is getting to the point where this is a collectible. We're starting to get to the point where nostalgia is going to start becoming a factor here. That's kind of check a box, right? People are going to remember hitting a awesome card like a Moonbryon, or not, or maybe chasing it and not getting it. But we're getting to the point 4 or 5 years on where nostalgia, people are going to remember. They're going to want to get some booster packs, maybe not a booster box, but they're going to want to get some packs to relive that experience at some point in the future. So amazing product, amazing design from the Pokemon Company. It checks all the boxes. It's just expensive. That's it. But that's a good thing if you have a cost basis in this product. So that's it for this one. If you enjoy what we're doing, please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. Really appreciate everyone's support, and we will see you on the next one.